Coming up on Network Africa. Nigeria commemorates Democracy Day, marking 26 years since the restoration of democratic rule in 1999. At least 49 people confirmed dead in floods as floods rise in search, and the death toll is expected to rise as search continues. Plus, United Nations warns that hundreds of thousands of people are slowly starving in Kenyan refugee camps following USA funding cuts. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone, and happy Democracy Day to all Nigerians. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. Indeed, it's been 26 years since the restoration of democratic rule in 1999. It's a day for reflection on the nation's journey, but also a time for public expression on the state of the Union. May 29 was initially the official Democracy Day in the country, marking when the newly elected President Olusegun Obasanjo took office. However, following the 2018 celebration of Democracy Day, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari declared June 12 to be the new Democracy Day. This was done to commemorate the democratic election of Moshood Abiola on June 12, 1993, which was deemed wrongly cancelled by the military government of Ibrahim Babangida at that time. Today, June 12, is more than a date. It's a reminder of the power of the people, the cost of freedom, and the unfinished work of democracy. And President Bola Tinubu today ditched the regular early morning address this Democracy Day, and instead he made an appearance at the National Assembly where he gave his Democracy Day speech. In celebration of 26 years of uninterrupted democratic rule in the country, he announced that he was granting full pardon to writer and activist Ken Saro-Wiwa and the other 8 Ogoni activists killed during the military regime of General Sani Abacha. President Tinubu also conferred national honors on the wife of June 12 winner and wife to MKO Abiola, Kudirat Abiola, Nobel Prize winner Wole Soyinka, and former National Election Commission Professor Humphrey Nwosu. He also dispelled rumors that the All Progressives Congress was making attempts to turn Nigeria into a one-party state. President Godswill Akpabio urged Nigerians to do their part to uphold democracy and shun apathy, while Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas formally requested the institutionalization of the presidential address at the National Assembly on Democracy Day every year.
It is a trust that we must protect. To the youth, we must not treat democracy with apathy. To the civil society, we must not let memory fade. To the media, we must be held accountable through responsible journalism. And to every Nigerian, democracy must not be reduced to election days. It must live in our values. It must live in our institutions. And it must live in our daily lives.
You have achieved what past assemblies could only dream of: an annual address by the President to a joint session of the National Assembly. By accepting our invitation, you have made history. I respectfully urge that we now institutionalize this address as an annual event.
Well, Nigeria's Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuga joined other foreign ministers in Changsha, China for the ministerial meeting on implementation of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. The discussions underscore shared values, disaster relief, cooperation, and commitment to multilateralism as nations reaffirm their comprehensive strategic partnership. Mr. Tuga echoed the importance of relationship between Nigeria and China, pointing to shared diplomatic principles. He says multilateralism has been a core pillar underpinning both nations' foreign policy outlooks. Meanwhile, Mr. Wang notes that this marks their third meeting since 2024, highlighting the close interaction between the two countries. He expresses condolences following the devastating floods that struck Mokwa, Nigeria on May 30, killing at least 115 people and destroying thousands of homes. China is hosting representatives from all 54 African countries this week to assess, forecast implementation, and chart future cooperation strategies.
Congratulations for the hosting of what proves to be a successful event. Intrinsically, China and Nigeria share certain common values when we speak of multilateralism. We look at China's foreign policy and what guides it, the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence, mutual respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty, the non-aggression, non-interference, equality and mutual benefits, and then the 5th being peaceful coexistence. Now, if you look at the Nigerian side, our foreign policy objectives enshrined in our constitution are 5 also, and that is the promotion and protection of our national interest, of course, but secondly, African integration and support for African unity. 3rd, promotion of international cooperation for peace and mutual respect. 4th is respect for international law and treaty obligations. And then 5th, promotion of a just world economic order. This is in our constitution. So intrinsically, we cannot but subscribe to multilateralism. So I think this is why it is easy for us to identify with the opposition, because we share this common approach. 5, you can see that they fit in perfectly. And I would like to also thank you for China's support with regards to the flooding that we experienced of the river Niger in Mokwa, in Niger State, in north-central Nigeria.
Of course, promotion of investments, international investments, and attracting foreign investment is part of the reforms being promoted by the Tinubu administration when he first took power. And, part of that is what he was emphasizing when he spoke to a joint session of the National Assembly today, when he spoke of reforms being put in place by his government. The president ditched his usual early morning address to the nation to celebrate Democracy Day. Instead, he chose to do so in front of all members of the National Assembly. Let's take a listen to some of the things he said.
As we mark a 26th year of unbroken democracy, it is right to honor those who have made sacrifices in the past, braving all odds and the guns to ensure we have a regime of democracy in our country. In this light, I announce the conferment of posthumous honors of CAFR on Kudirat Abiola, Professor Humphrey Nwosu, CON. I also have the honor to confer on Professor Yinka Oiji, CON. Furthermore, I also confer posthumous national honor on Ken Saro-Wiwa, CON. He was the leader of Goni 9. With his fellow travelers, I shall also be exercising my prerogative of mercy, under the prerogative of mercy, to grant these national heroes a full pardon. To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria. A one-party state is not in the oven, nor shall it ever be. That said, we would be guilty of political malpractice if we close our door on those from other parties who now seek to join the APC. We cannot blame anybody seeking to bail out of a sinking ship, even without a life jacket.
Let's get more on this. Joining us now is legal practitioner Yinka Oiji. He joins us from London. Thank you for joining us, Yinka, and happy Democracy Day to you.
Oh, well, I can say congratulations to Nigeria.
Yes, certainly you are outside of the country, but you are Nigerians and you do relate to some of these issues because it also affects you, affects members of your family as well. It will be the second Democracy Day celebrated under President Tinubu's administration on a different date, though, June 12, and not to the 1993 elections, which businessman Moshood Abiola won. So whether it may be 29th, which is the handover date, which set the tone for the uninterrupted dispensation of democracy, now known to be the handover date, or it be June 12, which usually goes through. What usually goes through your mind about Nigeria on a day like this?
All right. I don't think my personal opinion should count when it comes to whatever dates we decide to commemorate democracy in Nigeria. Actually, my sincere opinion, if I say it, will probably cause explosions all around, and that is the truth of the matter. Because personally, also, I think that there must come a time when we interrogate the private lives and activities of those who seek to lead us as a nation. And that does not and should not exclude anybody, inclusive of MKO Abiola himself. We should x-ray, we should investigate. Yes, he may have won an election, but at the time, we should also investigate what has it contributed to the advancement of our nation, whether positively or otherwise. If we seek to lead a country, then we should not be afraid for our lives to be investigated and x-rayed. On the contrary, I would ask anyone that what would Fela have said if Fela Nicola Pukuti was asked about June 12, 1993, or what would the Telefaru to me say today if we talk about June 12, 1993 and the proponents of June 12, their activities all the way from the 70s in Nigeria up to that point. Whatever economic problem we have suffered as a nation started a long time ago, and we have used templates of corruption that did not start yesterday. Certainly corruption was in Nigeria, emerged in Nigeria before 1993. So those questions marks remain. Regardless, on a final note regarding my personal opinion, I think we should also ask ourselves whether the democracy we have or that we tout is truly a democracy. I mean, if you even look at the appearance at the National Assembly, a joint session is interesting and possibly for it to be institutionalized. But where's the representative of the judiciary? Except I'm missing anything. We don't have a democracy of only the executive and the legislature. We have the judiciary as well. And it looks to me like the Chief Justice of Nigeria was copiously and significantly absent from that ceremony that took place earlier today. So on every June 12, while we congratulate ourselves, we should ask ourselves what kind of democracy we are running and if it is the best for us.
Right, and the president decided that rather than give a regular address, at 7, which, as usually characterized most Democracy Day addresses by previous administrations, he went to the National Assembly. It's an unprecedented move, I would say, and the leadership of the National Assembly also believes so. But, while there in his address, he paid tribute to the champions of democracy and did something perhaps no other Nigerian president has done. He announced he was granting full pardon to the heroes of the Ogoni struggle, the late Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others identified as the Ogoni Nine. Why do you think he did this?
I think that we call it unprecedented move by the president. So I like the ring of that. But that's where it ends. Unprecedented by the president. Fantastic. However, I'm thinking of those who are leading struggle at this time. Yes, people have passed. What is the significance of the pardon and conferring on them what we call national honors? How honorable are national honors? Again, that's something to question. So if you hold a national honor as a Nigerian today, how honorable are you wherever you are? I think that we should also denounce the notion that once you're a Nigerian and you're outside Nigeria, you're not affected by what's going on in Nigeria. That's not correct. As a matter of fact, the rest of the world is benefiting from the mammoth crowd of us who have left Nigeria. That should ring bells immediately. One of the parameters by which we should measure progress in Nigeria is how many people are returning home. It's tough for every Nigerian living all over the world because you're in Nigeria regardless of how long you've lived outside of Nigeria. So the president has supposedly granted pardon to people who have died. How about those who are living? Why should we still have Nnamdi Kanu in prison after so many court judgments that do not seem as if they have been enforced? All right, which is why I seem to think that politicians themselves have bastardized what we call democracy. All right, today would have been a day for the president to talk about what happened in Rivers State. That has been in the courts without any solution in sight. So why did he decide to grant pardon, according to him? Because Kesaruwa doesn't know what is happening. It doesn't change anything, all right, in the Niger Delta. But it would have been a good day to discuss this supposed state of emergency in Rivers State. So I think that the president is already on election mode for 2027, and it will seem as though that's a masterstroke granting national honors. Whether you give a Femi Falana national honor or not, Femi Falana is a beacon of struggle in Nigeria, all right? Whether you give a Dele Faro to me national honor or not, it does not stop people from understanding that there are people that still give courage to move on past the bad governance that we have, that even themselves, including their ilks and their cronies, have attested to the problem of bad governance in Nigeria. So whether it's Ken Saro-Wiwa that's getting a national honor, whether it's Femi Falana that's getting a national honor, it doesn't change the reality of what we have at the moment. I think the president is on 2027 re-election bid mode. I think that's a masterstroke. But for keen watchers and for those with true national interests at heart, I don't think that the national honors is much more than what it is, and it's just a national honor.
Right, just hold your thought for a minute. We'll go on break for now, and we'll return to that conversation still to come on the program. Jubilation as Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces fighters seize strategic zone border with Egypt and Libya. Details soon. Welcome back to the program. We've been talking about Democracy Day in Nigeria, celebrated today, June 12, 26 years of uninterrupted democracy in the country. The president gave an unprecedented speech today. He chose to stand before a joint session of the National Assembly to give his address, and he said so many things and he made so many pronouncements. We've been speaking with a legal practitioner, Yinka Oiji, who joins us from London to talk about today and what he thinks about the celebration. Before the break, we spoke about so many things, other things that happened today. In the country, we are seeing a political alignment and a gradual progression into a one-party state, although this is something the president says he is not advocating. But we've seen so many defections from many politicians choosing to join the All Progressives Congress because of what they say is they see a good thing that President Bola Tinubu is doing and the reforms that he's carrying out, and that it's a good time to join someone that means so well for the country. You know, that's what they say. What do you think about the political alignments and realignments that have been going on in recent weeks and months?
To be honest, I don't think that it will take a prophet to be able to prophesy or predict what will happen in Nigeria. People have stated before now that PDP and APC are the same, one and the same. That's playing out, all right? Even the APC government we have of today was midwifed by the campees, including Rotimi Amechi and the former Senate President Bukola Saraki, who themselves were members of PDP and then cross-carpeted to APC. Today, APC is made up of former PDP members, so there's nothing spectacular about that. Do we have a one-party state? No, it doesn't even matter whether it is 2 or 10-party states. What matters, or what we see, is that we have one political class, and it is a class that believes that it is a turn-by-turn thing. I think that while I was listening to you and preparing for this program, I started to think, why should anybody want to be interested in decamping to the APC, all right, especially if you are from the South, where you are reasonably engineered to be able to win re-election. And I then thought, this is what is being sold. It is the North against the South. That's what is going on. And it is easy to sell it to anybody, any politician in the South, especially those who don't have any original idea about moving this country forward, to say that nobody should truncate the unspoken rule of 8 years for the North, 8 years for the South. So on the basis of that, they would rather have the Southerner there, regardless of who that Southerner is or what impact the government has on the citizenry, as long as it is North against South. So that's what you have. However, and that's what it is for the opposition as well. If the opposition would be wise enough and then decide to also field someone from the South for presidency in 2027, then it won't matter whatever they call themselves as political parties. Nigeria's political system lacks any ideology whatsoever. That didn't happen today. We'd always known that, all right? There's hardly any states all over the federation where you will see a semblance of good governance. If there was, then it would have been a question of holding on to the political party that's brought that kind of governor. But we don't have. Even Alex Oti is possibly the only governor of Labour Party, and is doing well in Abia State. However, he's the only governor there. All right, we have a Labour Party that will not stand up to its responsibility of trying to hold government to account. So on the basis of what we see, it doesn't matter whatever political party anybody calls themselves or wherever they align themselves or any defections. It's Nigerians against the political class, not against any political party with any ideology whatsoever.
I have to stop you there. Thank you again for your time and for your thoughts on the political happenings in the country on this day that Nigeria is celebrating Democracy Day. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Let's continue. In South Africa, authorities have confirmed at least 49 people have died in floods around the country's poorest provinces. The death toll is expected to rise. Officials say search efforts are still ongoing. The floods hit the largely rural Eastern Cape province in the southeast after strong weather brought heavy rains, gale force winds, and also snow in some parts of the country. In a briefing to the press, Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mabuyane said the death toll includes 6 high school students who were swept away when their school bus was caught in floodwaters near a river close to the town of Mthatha. He says the school bus was found in the early hours of Wednesday, but it was empty. 3 of the students were rescued while clinging to trees and crying out for help.
As was stated here, the stats has escalated to 49 as per the South African Police Services. So, as we said, the numbers are just escalating an hour after hour. So the situation is so bad on the ground. Sadly, scholar transport minibuses, we indicated transporting children, was also swept by water, leading to loss of life. Thus far, the search and rescue operations led by subs in and around Mtata, are searching for other scholars. On our way here, we came across that situation when another girl was identified, and we were there on site along that river stream. We are all on the ground assessing the damage to support relief operations and engage directly with affected families, as we are now from 2 centers where we are interacting with our people who are currently kept in those centers. We reiterate our deepest condolences to the bereaved families and call on residents to remain vigilant and follow guidance from the local disaster management teams.
Well, in Kenya now, the United Nations has warned that hundreds of thousands of people are slowly starving in refugee camps after U.S. funding cuts reduced food rations to their lowest ever levels. According to a UN official, the impact is starkly visible at a hospital in the sprawling Kakuma camp in northwest Kenya. The camp is home to roughly 300,000 refugees who have fled strife in countries across Africa and the Middle East. Thousands of other refugees in Kakuma depend on the UN's World Food Programme for vital sustenance. The WFP says as a result of the cuts, the agency has had to slash the refugees' rations to 30% of the minimum recommended amount a person should eat to stay healthy. Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces says its fighters have seized a strategic zone in the border with Egypt and Libya as the regular government-aligned army. The Sudanese armed forces announces its withdrawal from the area. The announcement comes the day after the SAF accused forces loyal to Eastern Libyan commander Khalifa Haftar of launching a cross-border attack alongside the RSF, marking the first allegation of direct Libyan involvement in the Sudanese war. Separately, Sudan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also accused the United Arab Emirates of backing the assault, describing it as a dangerous escalation and a flagrant violation of international law. That's Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.